It's on.
Okay. What's up, everybody? Everybody's tuned in. I guess you could call this Life Beyond Armond. That's what we've been tagging it. Really because, I mean, as we get into it, you'll see exactly why it's called that. I mean, this interview is not about music per se. This is about God doing something major. I mean, we live in a society, we live in a, I guess you could say, a pocket of society where a lot of even though what artists do for as far as gospel, Christian rap, or just rappers, however you want to label or don't not label it, it can become something other than what it should be as far as set aside to give God glory. I mean, no matter how you approach it, whether you're street, whether you're didactic and with your approach, things can get out of line. So, I kind of, asked Armand a few times if he would do this interview because I felt like it would benefit some others, whether it's people who have considered taking a hiatus like he did, or whether they already have done it and wasn't sure if anybody else was thinking along the same line. So we're gonna sit down and we're gonna talk about it. Armand, I mean, I guess introduce yourself to those who may not know who you are, or present yourself to those who haven't heard from you in a minute.
Yeah, my name is Armand. I like day old popcorn from the movie theater and peanut butter M&Ms. It's weird. It's funny you asked that. Now I'm gonna get all deep from jump because like people ask, what do you do, or who are you?
Yeah.
And most people say, well, who are you? You'll say, I'm a father. I'm a philanthropist. I'm an this, and that's not really who you are. That's just something that you do. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference. So, I mean, I guess I say all that to say, I'm Armand. Some of you guys may have known me from some of y'all been around since the early days, the Colorado days, the Enemy days, the Epidemic days. Some of you have been around since the Triangle Effect days. Some of you have been around since the Dreaming Out Loud days. Some of you guys have been around since the Catch Up days. Some of you were around when we were doing radio show, or we were doing Ustreams with the radio show with two of my pastors and a couple other people from my church. And some of y'all didn't get put on until 3-day weekends. Some of y'all didn't get put on until clock radio speakers. Some of y'all didn't get put on until, this interview. So, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. How you doing?
And I guess just to backtrack, again, my name is Kellus Hill. I've known Armand going on about 2 years and change now. Well, yeah, almost 3 years. The first time I heard Armand was a song called Rear View, / two songs, Rear View, Dashboard. I think you sent it in to Jay Blaze for, what was it?
It was like Live and Direct.
Live and Direct, yeah. And kind of give us background on that situation first before we get into the meat of the situation.
Well, at that time, that was when Dreaming Out Loud, that was my first project in like 3 years. That was my first single from that project. My man Docket did the beat, and that was the single. And nobody really knew me. I was just somebody just trying to get, my little music heard. And I ended up, I think it was on the South. I think the South posted they used to have every Monday. It was every Monday.
Yep.
Jay Blaze, who's a DJ out of Miami or Florida, some part of Florida, Tampa, something like that.
Yeah.
He would sit there and he would critique and review anybody's music who would submit it in. And the funny part about it was like he would trash everybody.
Man.
I mean, out of like maybe 10 songs that he would play during the Ustream, he might like one, maybe. Right. That's if you catch him on a good day. And he thought the song was okay. Gave me some pointers, but fortunately, the right people were in the were in the chat. I ended up forging a lot of relationships with people like Sauce Remix. I think I met Young Church in there. A few other cats that would reach out because they liked the song, and then from there, you know, different relationships, and I suppose that's how I met you. You were in the chat, so
yeah, because I think I went after that. I went to your Bandcamp. I mean, at that point, I think you really the only stuff you had up was miscellaneous tracks. I think you had Snooze Button 2, Dreaming Out Loud, or was it Snooze Button 2 at the time? I think it was just Dreaming Out Loud.
It was just Dreaming Out Loud, and probably the Nina Mosley Experience, because that came out 5 days after Dreaming Out Loud.
Yeah. So before we go there, let's step back again. I know you said Colorado, so I guess to kind of paint a picture for people as far as somewhat of your musical influence, or, well, I mean, again, beyond musical influence, just influence on who you are now. You know, where were you born? How many places did you live? You know, how did all that factor into who Armond is at this point?
Oh man, I am a military brat. My dad did close to 30 years in the Army. I'm born in St. Louis. My roots are in St. Louis, and when I was 3, we got orders to Cali, so we lived in Southern California for a while. I should have got some water. I see you drinking. Yeah, we moved to California for about 5 years till I was about 8. Before then, when I was first born, we were living. My cousin was living with us, and my cousin at the time, he was like in high school. So that was my first introduction to hip hop. So he had, like, you know, BDP and Brand Nubian and Kumo D, LL Cool J, all those artists. He used to play them for me and my dad. And then my first introduction to, like, people that I actually liked were Kumo D, the Fat Boys, and NWA. You know, so I'm 4 years old in the middle of the street. My dad comes home from work. He's blasting straight out of Compton, and I'm hearing F the Police, and I'm in the middle of the street, 4 years old, doing the Running Man to F the Police. You know what I'm saying? Which is in retrospect hilarious.
Right.
But yeah, so from there, that's actually when I began to kind of write music or whatever. I was like 7 when I wrote my first rap song or whatever.
Okay.
And from there, we moved to Hawaii. I was only in Hawaii for like 2 years. And then from there, we moved to Colorado, and that's kind of where everything sort of took off. And my first talent show was in the 3rd grade. And then the first song that I performed, I did in the 5th grade. And then from there, at that talent show, I ended up meeting the choir director at my elementary school. And she loved the rap, so she asked me to be a part of the choir, but I wouldn't have to sing. I would just rap.
Okay.
So we would go to, like, different spots, and right before the choir would sing, I would come out and do my little rap or whatever. And then the funny part was we had the biggest show. It was this big mall in Hawaii, and I started feeling myself. I was a little cocky, whatever, getting my little attention, getting my little girls and stuff, and I forgot the rhyme that I was going to mirror. So in front of hundreds of people, I'm just sitting there like, and I ran backstage. And from that point, I stopped rapping until I was about 15 years old.
Okay.
By then we were in Colorado, and I think I was a sophomore in high school. And you know, I just kind of got into it as a hobby because two of my boys used to tell me to rap all the time, and I was like, yeah, you know. So I would do it, and because I'm a writer, you know, and then I already have the love of hip hop kind of in me, it was kind of easy to do. And so we would just kind of rap. I would take, you know, like the sound recorder in Windows.
Oh man.
Like, what I would do was, if you had 4 seconds or 2 seconds on your beat, I would manually hit sound recorder and stop it. And then the old Windows Media Player had a continuous loop thing.
Yeah.
And I would loop the beat and then record it in Real Producer for like 15 minutes and just rap to those beats. So doing that, honing my little skills or whatever, and then one of my friends who told me to rap, he committed suicide.
Oh man.
And he used to always tell me, yo, you should rap, you should rap, you should rap. So from then, that's kind of when I took it serious. I started a group with two of my boys called Enemy, NME, Niggas Making an Impact. That was the name of the group or whatever. And we were, that's pretty much where it took off. We're getting a lot of shows, and a lot of attention, a lot of girls, a lot of money. I was making. That's what I was doing. Okay. Before G Unit, before when mixtapes were cool, this is what I used to do. There was a mixtape shop in Colorado, and what they would do was they would have, I would get all the mixtapes before the mixtape shop. So there was a guy who owned the shop, and then there was the guy who worked for him. And the guy who worked for him, we would almost undercut the guy because I got the mixtapes before. So I would have the new Clue, the new K Slay, the new whatever. And what I would do was I would take them all and I put them all in Acid. I had Acid 2.0, and I would meticulously cut the DJs out of the songs so there would be no DJ on all the songs.
Wow.
So I would take the hottest 3 songs off of each mixtape, make a 15-track mixtape, but in that, me and my boys would kind of splice our freestyles in between those joints. So yeah, you want to hear the new Jay-Z, the new DMX, the new whatever, yeah, here you go, but you got to listen to me first. You got to listen to me in the mix. So that's kind of what built up my little rap thing, and then from there, you know, life happened, and I ended up in the military. That's...
Man. All right, so looking back, we kind of see that it's not, you know, it's not one of those situations where, you know, you got saved and kind of got the urge to rap. You just suddenly decided to start rhyming. So I guess that let's connect that with, okay, obviously, you know, you have the pedigree, the history from a rhyming standpoint. When did the Lord, number one, tug on your heart and you get saved as well? And then secondary question, when did you see the change in your lyrics, the change in what you rhymed about?
Oh, wow. When I first got saved, because basically what happened was I got saved when I went to join the Air Force. I joined the Air Force in 2004. And I had my life all planned out. I was going to get married, and I was going to go back to Colorado and start my life from there. And the funny thing about God is God will be like, a word,
true,
bow, and do the complete opposite of what you think you're going to do.
Yeah.
So instead of going back to Colorado, I ended up on a plane, and I'm in Japan. So not only am I not in the same city, I'm not even in the same continent, international date line, all that. So a bunch of stuff happened personally, man. Like I experienced, you know, my ex-girlfriend became pregnant with my daughter. My parents got a divorce. My nephew's father got killed. All that happened back to back to back, like literally a few months apart. And you know, my sister got saved a little bit before then, and she had been getting ministered to me over time. And she, you know, it got to a point where I was introduced and God became real to me, and I accepted him in my life in like early 2005. So what I did, I was like, all right, so I'm gonna rap for Jesus. And what I did was I didn't know what that looked like. So first what I did was I just edited out all the curses on my records. So I would already have my freestyles. They'd be full of pride and still be talking about, you know, what I do to you and how I'm better than you and all this other stuff. But I'd reverse the curses out, so that made it better. But what happened was there was a guy. I had my MySpace. This is all weird and spooky. So I had my MySpace at the time. This 2005, MySpace popping, and this guy emails me out the blue and is like, "Look, you say that you're a Christian rapper, but nothing that you're saying is glorifying him in any sort of capacity." He rebuked me. In retrospect, he rebuked me in the best way possible. But at the time, of course, I ain't know no better. I'm like, man, get out of here. I kid you not. 2 days later, I woke up, it was a Saturday morning, and when we were in Japan, we used to go to breakfast Saturday morning. So we went to breakfast. Before I went to breakfast, I logged on my MySpace, checked my messages or whatever. We went to breakfast. we came back, and my MySpace was deleted.
Wow.
So me being shook, I was like, well, maybe that was God telling me, you know, that I thought it was God didn't want me to rap at all.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I was like, and then at that time there was a guy at the end of my dorm. I think his name was like Spud or something like that, Darren or something like that.
Okay.
He gave me like Truth's first album. He gave me like Moment of Truth. He gave me Lecrae after the music stop, or not after the music stop. Real Talk. Was it Real Talk?
Yeah, first one is Real Talk. His very first album.
Yes, he gave me Real Talk.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm listening to these dudes rap, and I'm like, yo, if this is how I gotta sound, I can't do it. So, and that's because, not because I thought they were whack. It was because what they talked about was totally contrary to what I was talking about.
Right.
So I stopped rapping. And, you know, thank God for my best friend Rich. Rich was the one, Rich Toons, some of y'all know him as. He was the one who was kind of like, look, God really is going to use what you do, so just give it to him. And that was early 2006, and my first attempt at a album that glorified God was Wake Up 2. And that's kind of where it began from there. Wake Up 2.
Okay. All right. So, let me see. Let me go back. Just check my notes because
I can go in more detail.
Well, let's look at this. Let's ask you this. At what point? Well, okay. So obviously, your first real experience with the whole the community side of Christian rap, Christian hip hop. Was that the live and direct situation, or did you have any other idea? I mean, because obviously Real Talk, that's just a CD. You heard it, you're like, okay, cool. Kind of see how these guys do it. But as far as the bigger, like a bigger picture or the community side, was that really just the first experience live and direct?
Yeah, I didn't really know any other Christian hip hop artists. I didn't really know what any of that looked like. I kind of jumped into that joint head first.
Right.
And just kind of learned as I went along. So now I had no idea about any sort of protocol, you know, even my friends now about any sort of protocol who tell me, you know, this happened or that happened. I don't know, because I've never experienced it. So
right.
That was pretty much the first time was that. Prior to that, it was just me. I've always been in the bad word, the secular arenas or whatever. Like, even though, you know, that's kind of where I was getting all my gigs at, and that's kind of where my networking and connections were from jump. So it was just, you know, I never made the transition. I didn't make the transition from secular to Christian. I made the transition from, I didn't make the, like, let me run that back. Basically, even though I was doing music for God, I didn't start doing the music for God in those Christian environments until maybe a year or so ago. Prior to that, I was still in clubs. I was still at open mics. I was still in my element because I come from the battle scene. I come from, you know, that area. So that's where I'm comfortable at.
Right.
So, you know, this is all still very, very new to me. Very much so.
Let me back up. I did get a couple tweets. I guess people said that it wasn't streaming live for like the last 10 minutes. And it looks like it is online now. It is live. So for those of y'all just now seeing the stream, you know, this whole Google on air thing, we're trying to roll with the punches is what, like a week and a half old, if that. So again, introduce myself. I'm Kellus Hill. This is Armond Goss. Armond Wake Up, Dreaming Out, Mr. Dreaming Out Loud, Mr. Clock Radio Speakers. We'll have, you know, we got to shout out Doc Beats, the other half of Clock Radio Speakers, but basically we've just kind of prefaced, or we're about to talk about his hiatus, but just kind of getting a history, a little brief bio as to what Armand's life has led him, you know, what he's gone through, what's inspired some of the music that we've heard the past couple of years. And like I said, we'll talk about hiatus, and then we'll talk about things going forward. So appreciate y'all bearing with us, and we will, you know, towards the end, catch the questions and give some answers. So all right, so you already have your style, so we all know that God is a specialist in using the gifts that He's given you, and just renewing your mind, you know, all that. So we see that again through Dreaming Out Loud. We see it the Nina Mosley Project. We see it Haviland Savage, 27, Condiments, etc. So I guess let me ask you this: around what time during what was your mindset as after Live and Direct, when people really started to say, man, okay, I see this Armond cat? Like, what was your mindset? You know, how were things? You know, it seemed like, you know, whether we were leaking a song here or there, or your albums are kind of getting pushed out there. What was your mindset as, quote unquote, people were starting to find out who you were?
You know what it was? Like, in retrospect, and this is what a lot of us are guilty of, we treat the Christian hip-hop arena like the secular hip-hop arena.
True.
And what I mean by that is we kind of negate the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
We put a lot of weight on ourselves. I gotta stay popping. I gotta do all this stuff to maintain my buzz and all this other stuff. And that's all I knew how to do, so that's what I did.
Yeah.
So, you know, every other month I was putting out records. There was one point, like last December, I was trying to put out 2 albums in a day.
True.
So, you know, from that point, I was just trying to stay popping, quote unquote. Excuse me, like, you know, what beat can I rap over today? You know, I remember I had the I'm On One beat like a week before it was supposed to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Like right after the song came out, I had the beat. Nobody else had the beat for like another 2 weeks. So I like hurry up. I wrote the verse at work. I rushed home on my lunch break, recorded it, mixed it down, uploaded it. By the time I got back to work, the link was in my email and I pushed it out. Like right. That's how, like, I was trying to use the ability that I have to write and create really quickly. I was abusing that junk like crazy.
Got you. I hear you.
You know, a lot of that stuff it wasn't God floating over my bed saying, you know, put out 27, put out Snooze Button 2. It was me trying to stay hot. And right. I thought it was okay because my music, to a degree, still glorified God. You know what I'm saying? You know, but in retrospect, that entire approach was all wrong. The dope thing about God is that even though my intentions were still to glorify Him and minister to other people, but my methods were wrong, but God still used my incorrect methods and got glory out of it, which is dope.
That's real.
So, you know, that's pretty much what I did. I did what I knew how to do, which was stay popping.
Okay. And that, I mean, and I, you know, I kind of witnessed it. I guess you could say I played a little bit of role because I kind of was egging you on, like, oh man, you know, because here, all right, y'all, just a sidebar. J.P. Morgan Chase.
Oh man, listen.
Is the official employer of many of your favorite Christian rap artists.
It really is.
I'm not an artist, so I'm just like, but I know a couple cats who get their paychecks not only from iTunes, but from Chase, from J.P. Morgan Chase. So, you know, I can't even front. Like sometimes I'd be on the communicator with Armond, and I'd be kind Be like, come on, man, what you got? He throw lyrics at me, and I'd be like, man, well, what if you did this, this, and this? It was fun. It was kind of funny, but I guess I played a part in pushing him. But at the time, I mean, it's tough. Like, and we've had this discussion many times. Anybody in the music world, even fans, all the way up to artists, labels, of course, it can be so easy to get caught up in a mindset of, like you said, what's popping, what's hot. And then if you know somebody who makes music, then it's like, how can I push this person to continue? But, sometimes we have to step back, especially on this side of it, man. Like, even if you don't want to separate it from the standpoint of artist and fan, I mean, as Christians in general, man, like as followers of Christ, it's about prioritizing. That's all. We just got to prioritize everything. So that leads me to my next question. As all this is going on, pretty much mid-late December all the way up until, I want to say, mid-late 2011, how would you say spiritually all this affected you? I mean, and I know you pretty much have already outlined a lot of it, but I'm talking about like in the depth of your spirit. How were you feeling? Obviously in your church community, the way Columbus, were people seeing certain things and trying to get at you, and were you like, nah, man, I'm good? Or how was it from a community standpoint?
I know as far as the way goes, this is the thing, man. Like, if you tapped into God, God will tell on you. God will tell on you. God will tell other people, like, look, Armond, even to a degree, like, Armond was doing this, or so-and-so was doing this. You need to either pray for him, you need to intercede for him, or you need to, like, confront him and see what's going on. Not people put confront in such a bad connotation, but, like, talk to Armond to see what's going on because he's going through something, help him out.
Right.
So that was definitely happening. In 2011, dog, I was working 2 jobs, putting out music all the time. I had a relationship, and then I'm a father, so I got two of my kids, and then I'm in minister training to become a minister at my church. And I had taken on a promotion at one of my jobs. So I was doing a lot. And when you do all those things, it is very easy to neglect your relationship with God.
Yeah.
Super easy. Yeah. Some people, I mean, we all guilty of ignoring our relationship with God just with our 9 to 5.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So, my day would typically look like I would get up at like 7, be at work at 8, work from 8 to 12, take an hour nap, come back at 1, work till 5, go to my second job at 5:30, get out of there at 11, come home, eat, get in the studio till like 1, and then call my girl and fall asleep with her on the phone until 7 o'clock all over again.
Right.
Where does God fit into that?
True.
He doesn't.
True.
He doesn't. So not only was God not fitting into that, the things that God had me doing, I was definitely neglecting my responsibilities at my church. I'm helping to plan a church. We're planning a church in Columbus called The Way Columbus, waycolumbus.com, cheap plug. And so, my pastors, because they have such a close relationship with me, and because our entire church, period, it's not your typical, the pastors are here and your community and the members are here. Right, everybody's on an equal playing field. So I see everybody in the church in different facets of life. So I see God use them, and I see God get glory and raise them up and do all this crazy stuff. But then I see them when they're going through a funk and they don't feel like praying. You know what I'm saying? From the top on to the bottom. So pretty much what somebody's going through. And people knew I was going to church less. There was a change in my attitude. I was very, I wasn't taking care of myself. I had an attitude. I was always salty. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, people knew, but I thought I was doing the work of the Lord.
Right.
So I was like, all right, it's gonna pay off. It's gonna pay off. And then a part of that was me being selfish in that too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I want what God is going to give me out of being obedient to Him.
Right.
And because I'm doing all this work, the work has to result in some sort of compensation. This is my thought process at that time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Which is one of the zillion reasons why the break was so necessary. Because it was all wrong. It was all wrong. So, you know, I mean, I guess that's it. Did I answer your question?
No, I mean, that answers it. I mean, I guess my only other question would be, and I know we talked about this. I'm not, you know, obviously no names, no calling. We're not trying to call anybody out, but how much factored in as far as people saying, okay, this dude obviously has got skill. I need him on my track. So instead of people reaching out and saying, you know, this is a whole person, I just want 16 bars of your time. How much of that factored in as well?
You really want me to go there?
Like, come on, man. Like, for real. I'm saying.
Right. I'm going to keep it real.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that. I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
From this point on, when I'm putting the APB out, I'm only doing collaborations with people that I have relationships with. And that's because it's very impersonal to use somebody just for their gifts.
Yeah.
Number one. To me, it's disrespectful. I said it in Lord Knows, you know. That, when I did Lord Knows, that was it. I had reached my boiling point. I was done. That song is very much me ranting.
Okay.
You know, I said, hate it when people only hit me when they want something. Now I know how God feels. And you know, it's frustrating to have the rapper conversation.
Yeah.
When it's supposed to be ministry, like, yo, the fake, hey, what's up? How you doing? What's going on? Everything good? Can I get you on my mixtape? And, you know, like, even now, like, my time is beginning to become precious.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't say that I don't say that in a very, like, boastful way.
I
don't have time to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you have relationship with people, I think it shows in the music, or it shows in whatever facet of ministry you guys do.
Yeah, true.
So, you know, if it's just like a cold lead or something like that, like if it's just something that just jumps up out the blue and you don't really know how to handle it, you're not really going to go into it as prepared as you would be had you known and gotten background on it, on the situation.
Right.
There's certain people that I'm friends with, and now I'll carry the burden of wanting to put my best foot forward with whatever they ask me to do, because that's my man, as opposed to somebody just wanting to get me for the hot song of the moment because I got a little buzz. Because to me, it's kind of selfish.
Yeah.
The only reason you want to get me on the record is you want to capitalize off what you perceive as my buzz, at least without building the relationship and fostering a relationship.
Yeah.
Something. You know what I'm saying? Let me have one conversation where we don't talk about music.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that bothers me.
So it's probably, I want to say that there's probably some cats who have no idea that you're a father. Cats have no idea about, I mean, the fact that you're an ordained minister. Like, you know, I was struggling with whether or not I need to call you Bishop on air, but now I'm playing.
Don't do that. Don't put that on me, son.
Bishop Armond.
Nah, man, no title, none.
Right,
You'll never see me on a church flyer with a purple and gold suit with my wife with the matching gold hat that coordinates with my tie. And you can only, and my Facebook name is Bishop Armond. Like, you have to address me as Bishop.
With the pen and pixel bling off the cufflink?
Duh. Duh. I can't do that, man. I can't do that. I can't do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you kind of answered the question somewhat. When was the last straw when you knew that, okay, I'm going to have to pull away from this whole music thing? I'm going to have to, I mean, when did God tell you step away?
When all hell broke loose in my life and I couldn't control it.
Would you like to go into any of that in detail?
Sure, absolutely.
Cool.
Like I said, I was staying up later and working on music. I wasn't eating. My performance was slacking at my job. I wasn't getting haircuts. I was really looking like the Wolfman. My house was out of order. Physically, my house was crazy dirty. And then mentally, emotionally, I was entertaining a lot of relationships and things that I had no business entertaining. The relationship with my girlfriend shot to hell. Her and I were not getting along. I was disrespecting her. I wasn't treating her the way that she wanted to and deserved to be treated. I wasn't making time for my children. I definitely was neglecting my ministerial duties, not showing up to church. I mean, just little stuff. Like, it ain't nothing crazy, but it's like I wasn't calling. I wasn't accountable to anybody.
Right.
I was dodging, wouldn't go to church for weeks. But somebody called me for a show, call me for a 16, I got you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it reached the point where I was tired. It was almost like, you ever seen them joints where like somebody's running from the law for so long, and when they get caught, they're almost relieved that they get caught.
True.
That's what it was. I had two conversations. I had one conversation with both of my pastors. They pulled me in after service one day, and they let me have it. They were just like, look, you slacking, you slipping, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then they said some things to me on a personal level because, aside from, the teacher-student relationship that we have, they're also like my brothers. So for those things, for them to say certain things, disappointments that I was the cause of, that hurt my feelings. I hate to disappoint other people. I hate it. So that was a huge burden. And one of my pastors kind of suggested it, like, yo, maybe you probably need to take a break from a lot of things that you're doing right now, because God is not getting glory out of any of that stuff. And then I went home and I had a long conversation with my girl at the time, and pretty much she said the exact same thing. She let me have it, and she told me that I wasn't, doing the things that I needed to do. She wasn't being disrespectful or nothing, but she was honest. And the Christian community, the church community, sometimes can be really fake. They can overlook a lot of things because of your gift.
Right.
So because they perceive you to be anointed, and again, a lot of that comes from them not knowing and seeing what walking with God really looks like in its totality. So they overlooked a lot of things. So when you kind of get that morsel of honesty from people who that really love you and have your best interests in mind, you really have to take those things into account. So I went home. I took the next day off from work. I laid in my bed that whole day and just talked to God literally for the whole day. And I was like, that's it. You want me to take a break? I'll step back. I wrestled. I fought it, but there was no other way. It was me walking through a wall. I wasn't gonna walk past that wall unless I surrendered that to God. And when I finally surrendered it, let me tell you, that was the best feeling in the world. It really was. I really thought that I was gonna die. When I thought that I was gonna die or lose myself from taking a break, that let me know that I needed to take a break.
That's real. That's real.
So, you know, after that, my body shut down, son. Your body gets used to you, like, over-exerting it.
Mm-hmm.
And my body just shut down. I was sick for like 2 weeks. Not doing anything.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't eat McDonald's. I was so used to eating McDonald's and eating bad and not getting enough rest that when I had time to cook and was getting 9 hours a night, my body was like, what is this?
Right.
And shut down. That also let me know that I had made the right decision.
That's confirmation, man. So obviously your pastors are two people who've been consistent from the beginning with you. Were there other people? Did you have like a circle who said, okay, we're going to step far enough back to let you go through certain things with just you and God, but close enough to where we either lift you up or pull you back from any direction? And would you have a strong circle around you?
Yes, my circle is dope. I have the dopest circle. You know what's funny though? God actually added people to my circle during this season. So I had people, you know, I had my pastors.
Mm-hmm.
People were joining the church that I began to forge relationships with. You know, my girl remained faithful, you know, despite me not deserving it. And Whit and Dre Murray, definitely Whit. Dre Murray and I actually kind of stepped back at the same time. I don't think his break was as significant, but there were a lot of people actually who took breaks around the same time that I was finding out. Whit definitely reached out and poured into me and gave me a lot of sound advice and a lot of encouragement. That's my man. Priest, formerly a Slingshot, he really stepped up and didn't know me from anybody else and showed more love than I've ever experienced. Smurf Village, that's my dude. That is like the most intelligent, like the way that he breaks down God, the way that he breaks things down, and the way that God uses him is so crazy. It's inspiring. He just came to me as a servant. Like, he was just like, yo, I shoot videos and you said you're looking for a videographer, you know, let me help you out. Mm-hmm. And it went from that to like that's like my man. Like, the things that we initially planned to do as far as, like, you know, music and studio and rapping and stuff, all that stuff is secondary. Like, that's like, we will sit and chop for hours.
Right.
About life. So God really showed me and gave me examples of people who were walking with God, because you can't do this walk by yourself. As long as I got King Jesus, I don't need nobody else. Is a lie straight from hell.
For real.
It's not going to happen. You need people around you who will not baby you.
Right.
But will steer you in the right direction, but will let you go down that path. And I was definitely surrounded by people who encouraged me and got me to the next step, or at least at a minimum said, hey, you can get past this. There's life beyond music.
Right.
You know, and like, if God tells you, if you stop rapping tomorrow, if you get in a car crash and you lose your vocal cords, there's still purpose for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the many things that I learned in this season, and I wouldn't have learned that had it not been for the people that God placed around me. And for that, I'm unconditionally grateful for that.
That's good, man. I guess one other thing connected to this, both before the hiatus and during or after the realization that you needed to take the time? How did it affect your kids as far as before and after?
Oh man, I I mean, I just had more time for them, you know. My daughter's at the age now where she's able to understand a lot more. I can't just pass her off and, you know, that's just for kids. Like, you know, you get to that age where your kids really know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I was able to foster a lot of questions that she had right at the right time. So I was really able to step in and be a father to her. And you know, now to even watch my son grow and help foster that is incredible. That's what I had time for now, to be able to do that. So yeah, it definitely helped. It definitely helped. The break helped my relationship with my kids. Absolutely.
At what point do you feel like the Lord released you to say, well, before we can get to that, during the hiatus, I mean, what were you doing as far as, were you fighting not to pick up the pen? Were you fighting not to listen to certain, like, just, were you like, okay, I don't want to listen to anything, I don't want to listen to any rap unless I'm doing a Clock Radio Speakers episode, or, I mean, what, how did that look?
I didn't want to rap. I didn't want to do it. It got to the point where I'm trying to think. Was it Paul? I think it was Paul who went somewhere to go preach, and they began to give him praise.
Yeah.
And he rejected. He was so scared of the praise. He stripped all his clothes off, right? Something like that. Like just out of fear of, like, oh my God, I don't want this. Get it away from me. I took on the same guy. Kind of gave me that same burden, that same fire. I don't want your praise. Your praise means absolutely. Your praise does nothing for me. Praise is like a drug. That's one of the things that led to the hiatus, was because another reason why I was putting out so much music was because it was feeding my need for praise. It was feeding my pride for people to say, yo, you're dope.
Right.
You're a hot artist. You got your rhymes are sick. I realized that no matter what I did, the amount of praise that I got was never enough.
True.
So as soon as the praise would kind of wean down, I'm not getting enough hits on my Bandcamp, not enough people in my mentions telling me that I'm dope, let me go put out something else real quick. Once that got tiring and I realized it, when I got on the hiatus, I didn't even want it. So I didn't listen to me for like 3 months. The hiatus was like in mid-January. Remember, I was about to put out Residue. I was about to put out the sequel to Having the Savage Theory.
True.
And listening to that, even looking at the track listing, just made me sick. Like, I don't want this at all. So I didn't listen to myself. I definitely still listen to hip-hop, though. But I didn't listen to hip-hop with the intention of getting inspired to do my own music.
Right.
I just listened to it just, as a fan. But, yeah, I wasn't writing anything. I had collabs that I had previously, that I had agreed to, that I put on pause.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's people who are still to this day waiting for verses from me, because I told them that I would do it like in December, and here it is May, and I'm just now getting back into the swing of writing, and they're still waiting on a verse. So I wasn't doing anything. I was consumed with renewing my mind. I wanted God to renew my mind, and I also was trying to kind of rebuild some of those bridges that I had burned. So I was really into my relationship with my kids, my relationships with people at my church, friends and family, you know, talking to my dad more, you know, trying to build everything back up with my girl. Like, all that stuff is what I was focused on. Making Clock Radio Speakers the greatest podcast in the world.
Right.
Things like that. Like, so I definitely had things to do. I wasn't just sitting there twiddling my thumbs. You know what I'm saying? So
I guess at what point do you know for a fact that the Lord was telling you to get back into making music? Or is he still kind of telling you, he's kind of slowly telling you, you know?
God, you know what? I went through some spiritual stuff. I went through some things. I won't like get into them, but there was definitely some things, some plans and some schemes that the enemy kind of had set up to destroy me and to take me out. Once those plans got thwarted, God was like, now you know the reason, because the whole time I didn't know the reason for the hiatus. I was really walking around in darkness. All this stuff was revelation I had gotten after God said, okay, you're good.
Right.
You know, what some people don't know is that God really does speak. Like, he's a tangible God. He's not an idol, a statue. Like, he communes with his people.
Right.
He does have conversations with us. Whether it be through his word, through other people, through relationships, through life. I mean, God speaks to me through cartoons and you know, watching wrestling and boxing and stuff like that. Like, it's weird. But God was like, all right, it's time to write. And it was funny, when I initially started writing, everything that I wrote was horrible. It wasn't good enough.
Right.
Trash. So I didn't know how to balance what I was used to doing, because I was just used to, like, all right, here's a dope beat, about to go in the booth, write something real quick, take it, mix it, shoot it out. God told me to write in early March. It's almost June and I haven't put anything out yet. The old Armond, I'd have had 2 mixtapes out by now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'd have had a welcome back mixtape. I'd have shot videos. You know what I'm saying? But nah, like, it's really becoming a process now of understanding that the music isn't the end-all, be-all. It's merely a vehicle for something much larger. So realizing that it's a vehicle and not the vehicle is helping me to just kind of learn the baby steps. I'm learning all over how to submit my gift right back to God, what to put out, what songs he wants me to put out, what he wants me to say on this song, how to totally convey the message that he wants me to say, how he wants me to treat other people. Once those doors get open from my music into other arenas, how to conduct and carry myself. Like, a whole bunch of different stuff that if I was just focused on music, I'd be a 40-year-old rapper. I'd be, you know, Big Daddy Kane.
Right.
So, yeah.
I mean, saying that, when you look back at some of your old music, where does that sit in your eyes? Like, I know I saw one question from Sean. He was asking about the inspiration to do projects like Nina Mosley and Having a Savage. When you look, I mean, you can answer that question as well, but do you when you look back at your old music, can you use any of that? Will you push any of that old stuff?
No.
Okay.
No. You won't see me push anything new. The newest thing you'll see me push is 3 Day Weekend. 3 Day Weekend is crazy. I've been listening to that lately over the last few weeks. 3 Day Weekend is dope. Shout out to Doc. Nah, I can't do it. Like, what happened was, this is how I found out I couldn't do it anymore. One day, I loaded up all my music on my phone, and I spent the whole day listening to it. And I'm not that person anymore.
Right.
The guy who was saying certain things and had different perspectives, and I could hear what I was going through at the time. I could hear the uncertainty. I could hear the doubt in not only God but myself. I could hear the everything that was wrong. I could hear what I was going through. I could hear it. And number one, since I'm not going through those things anymore, it's not to say I know that your music is not for you, but I know I wasn't offering a solution because, you know, people always tell me that one of the things that they like about my music is the fact that I'm open and honest. But what I was doing with that honesty was babying them where they were.
Okay.
And I wasn't taking them to that next step. So I would say, all right, well, you're going through this? Word, I went through it too. I'm not out of it, but I'm going through it too. So here's your milk, here's your bottle, I'm going to rub your back, everything's going to be okay, and I'm going to send you on your way.
Okay.
Not offering any sort of solution to what you could do to get out of your situation. So you won't hear me really minister or use any of those old songs. You know what I'm saying? If they helped you get out of a situation, dope. You had that. Great. Amazing. Please tell me about it. That would be encouraging to hear. But for me, I probably won't be ministering any of those old songs. But as far as Sean's question, you know, to be honest with you, it's not deep. I just thought those movies were dope. You know, the Nina Mosley Experience, all those songs were old. And it just so happens that I watched Love Jones one day, and I was like, yo, it'd be really dope to base a mixtape off of this. And hey, I have 16 songs that are over R&B songs that I wrote that was when I was in my previous relationship, so they're all sappy and stuff. Let me put them together, splice in some movie quotes, and put it out and see what happens for Valentine's Day. It wasn't anything deep for that, but the response that I got is what led to the Having a Savage Theory, which to me is my favorite body of work. The difference between the Having a Savage Theory and the Nina Mosley Experience is with the Having a Savage Theory, I was beginning to like kind of put my brain on love and try to make sense of it.
Right.
If that makes sense. So there's a lot of like questions and perspective and stuff like that and I think more guys like Having a Savage Theory because of that, because we're more logical creatures, and more women like the Nina Mosley Experience because it was just, I love you and I want to hear you and blah, 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 you know, all that sappy stuff that, you know, the opposite sex makes us feel. So, you know, basically the theme of that is just been because of the reaction, because people thought it was dope, and you know, I liked how the songs ended up telling a story within the story of the movie, because the story that I tell on Having the Savage Theory is not the story that's told in Half Plenty. You know what I'm saying? Like, God was able to kind of use that and do some different things and tweak a different perspective. I like playing devil's advocate. I like seeing the other person's perspective or trying to see something from a different point of view. And that's what that was. That was dope.
Well, since we're explaining projects, look, man, 3-Day Weekend I've listened to at least 25 times. I put my guess in as like, I knew it was like, it felt like it was some kind of conglomerate of several stories. So I just guessed that part of it was Samson and Delilah. That's the best I could do. I know I saw a couple other people on Twitter put their 2 cents in, but man, give us the breakdown, man. Give us the Clock Radio speakers treatment, man. Do we need to bring Doc in?
Yo,
Does Doc need to jump in this chat?
All right, you know what? First, let me say that the idea of 3-Day Weekend was all Doc. Doc orchestrated that whole thing. Doc's A&R mind is retarded. So shout out to Doc. Doc basically threw a lot of those beats my way. They were already beats that had been created there from like a mixtape. He and I are huge fans of The Weeknd.
Okay.
So he and I love The Weeknd. We love his music or their music. And he got this remix out where people had done like different versions, like techno, drum and bass, R&B remixes or whatever. And I would listen to some of them and I'd be like, yo, I just told him one day after episode of Clock Radio Speakers, like, yo, it'd be dope if I could rap to some of these. And he was like, yo, just make a project. This is how quick he came up with it. He was like, yo, just do a project called 3 Day Weekend where you're kind of telling the story of something that happens between Friday and Monday. Okay. All right. Fine. Cool. I'll do it. So he and I did Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in like 4 hours.
Okay.
Wrote, recorded, Doc engineered, mixed. He tweaked some of the beats, added different elements to the beats. Filter did a lot of things with them. The process was really, really quick. Now, and Uriah did the cover. Shout out to Uriah. Conceptually, the story is about a guy who meets a girl and ends up becoming obsessed with this girl and opens himself up, and she takes advantage of his vulnerability and messes him up. Now, what that means is when we commit sin, when we sin against God, it starts in our mind. So on Friday, the first verse and a half, he meets the girl. The girl represents our desires, our sinful nature, our flesh.
Mm-hmm.
When he meets her, when we sin, right? When we sin, we say, all right, I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to rob this bank, and I'm going to walk out, and I'm never going to do it again. Or I'm going to have sex with this chick, because I'm using the concept that I did the song. I'm going to have sex with this girl, and I'm going to leave, and nothing else. There will be no consequence or repercussion, because it'll just be one time. Now, when we're first introduced with the prospect of doing that, we can do whatever we want, or we feel like we have control of the situation.
Right.
So I'll just do this real quick. I got this. I'm going to get out. Boom, 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 I'm done. So what happens is in the process, he ends up opening himself up and becoming vulnerable to her. And she notices his vulnerability, and his vulnerability comes from a place of insecurity. Because when you sin against God, it's to satisfy and gratify yourself. And the whole ideal and premise of serving God is one of humility and desire. So you have to humble yourself before God before you can do anything. Right. So when you sin, you're not being humble. You are doing what you want to do, which is gratifying yourself. So the girl takes advantage of that. She totally messes him up. She represents our desires, whatever. It starts to get tricky on Saturday when he notices that she wears a weave. The weave represents the reality of who she is. If you take a woman's weave off, most of the time, when you initially snatch a weave off of a woman's hair, what is under her head?
Cornrows.
Either cornrows, or if it's, I don't know the difference, but it's like little, they got like the Homer Simpson joint, all the strands here and there.
Right.
It's ugly, is basically the point that I'm making. It's ugly, and it's deception.
Right. That's true.
It's not what you think it is.
Right.
And that's kind of what happens when you sin. When you sin, you initially think it's for one thing, but you're introduced to something totally different. And so when he's introduced to that, he still thinks that he's in control. He's prideful. So he's like, I got this. You know, even though she has weed, I can still get out of this situation. But what he doesn't realize is that when you sin, especially like in a sexual aspect, you give a piece of yourself away to that other person.
Right.
And, you know, when he gave himself to her, she totally took that. And that was the part on Monday when he went through her phone and he saw a bunch of conversations that she had and MMSs of kids, like pictures of kids that people had sent. Those were pieces of other guys that she had swallowed up prior to him.
Gotcha.
So he's almost having like his Kaiser Soze moment, like, oh my God, I'm not the only one who did this or who she used up. I got to get out of here.
Right.
So when he tries to get out, he passes out while trying to run out. He wakes up in his apartment. Nothing is wrong, but there's a dog in the corner. The dog is God. The dog is malnourished, and the malnourishment represents in a track previously, she had made a mention of him not eating, and she saw like he hadn't eaten in 4 days. The eating represented communion and relationship between him and God.
Okay.
So the fact that he wasn't eating and it was beginning to show on his face was saying that he was out of sync with God. He wasn't eating, and it began to show. Just like when we don't commune with God, it opens the door for temptation to kind of overtake us, and we see it. But the dog being there represents God's loyalty to us. So no matter what we do and no matter what we say or whatever, God is still faithful to us.
Right.
Even though the relationship had not been cultivated, I hadn't fed it, God was still there. And the clean house represented that God had forgiven me for everything that I had done or the character had done in the previous days. So the house was cleaned up. He didn't even know that he was gone, because when you repent, all that stuff is removed from God. Totally forgets about it. But she reads the letter, or he wrote her a letter or whatever, and in the end she kills him. The room went black. He dies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think there was any sort of connotation behind him dying. I don't think that meant anything. I think the entire story leading up to the death, it's kind of like No Country for Old Men. Remember when the guy who had the briefcase, he died, but you didn't even see his death, because in the grand scheme of things, his death meant nothing to the story as a whole. And that's kind of what 3 Day Weekend was. Like him dying or her killing him really didn't have anything to do with God's faithfulness, because, you know, right before she killed him, he had already been forgiven. He had already been wiped clean. So that's 3 Day Weekend in a nutshell. I could go deeper, but that's it.
It's kind of like, it's almost like a description of what you dealt with leading up to the hiatus in a way, right?
What did you say?
It's kind of like a description of what you dealt with leading up to the whole hiatus, pretty much.
Yeah.
In certain aspects, so.
Yeah, in certain aspects, absolutely. Good point. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Prophecy.
It could be a mini movie or something, man. That sounds like not even a mini movie. That could be a full feature film or something, man.
All right, I'm looking for actors right now and script writers.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll do that. That'd be dope, actually. That'd be super dope.
Yeah, get the whole IG crew. Get Invisible Gorilla. Cash will be the comedian. Wit will be the dude getting beat up. I'm sorry. And then Greg Murray will be like, let's see, he played. He was on that stage play. He was fighting the Grinch.
Yeah, he was the Grinch with the Thriller jacket.
As a matter of fact, he played that. He was on that dad thing too, so he could be like somebody's pops in the movie.
Right.
But nah, okay, that does lead me into the next question. I know you said Wit and Dre were pretty strong parts as far as encouraging you through your time away or whatever.
Mhm.
What do you see going forward as far as that group? You know, obviously you got Sean C. Johnson, you got Wise, you got Kelly, who's, I guess they're gonna find a new name for her soon. Kelly Shabazian. I think that's how you say it.
Like, they're gonna change her name? What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, but I guess it'll still be Kelly Kells. But who else? Man, I'm missing somebody. I apologize. I think that's everybody, huh?
With Dre Murray, Sean C. Johnson, Cash. Did you get Wise?
Yeah, Wise. Okay, yeah. I mean, what do you see? Because I get the vibe from y'all that music is a part of what brought y'all together, but that's not what keeps y'all. You know, what I'm saying? It's like that's not all that y'all have as a group, which I know you were kind of looking for that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. I guess. But you're saying, like, what's the next step? With Invisible Gorilla, or what's the next step with with whatever I'm doing?
Well, I guess that kind of goes. I won't say hand in hand, but it factors one into the other, because I know the question that I saw in here earlier, and of course I was going to get to that. Where do you see, whenever the Lord fully releases you as far as music, do you see yourself, like you said, kind of letting the process take its form and doing a project maybe once a year, maybe twice a year, or do you see yourself saying, I got a lot to say about what the Lord told me during this time. I'm going to put out several short projects, medium-sized projects. I mean, what do you see as far as that?
I'm totally open to that. I don't have any plans. I have an idea of what I'm gonna do now.
Mm-hmm.
You know how the rest of the year is gonna look. I pretty much have an idea of how that's gonna look. But from here on out, I don't know. You know, maybe 2013 I do 5 projects in a year. You know, and maybe 2014 I don't do anything, and in 2015 I do 1 record. I'm totally open to wherever life takes me or whatever.
Right.
And how that's gonna look. So I'm not necessarily sure of how that's gonna go, but you know, we'll see. You'll begin to see some things in the very, 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 very near future.
Cool.
Was that my cue to actually talk about what I have on deck, or was that the alley-oop on that?
That's the alley-oop, man. That's the Chris Paul.
No, you stupid. All right. Basically, I'm working on a project right now. But I'm not in a rush to put it out. I'm not gonna give the name of it yet. I just threw you one of the things that we have going on right now. If you check the chat log, Kellus, basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually take a look in detail. I'm gonna show you guys what the process looks like of coming back from a hiatus. What we kind of do, like in the church, is like people don't see when people sit down or whatever. Like nobody knows what that looks like while they sit down. What happens? They go away for a while, and
1 second, my bad.
All right, my bad. Are you ready? You good?
Nah, I just had to. Some ad came on, man. You're trying to make money off your video and stuff, man.
I am trying to make money.
No, I'm playing with you.
Baby's gotta eat. People kind of go away for a while, and then 6 months later they're like, hey, I'm back.
Right.
And I'm totally different than what I was before when I stepped through the door. Like, you know, we gotta show people what that looks like.
Right.
We have to show that ministers are human, that we don't make all the right decisions all the time, at all, and that's okay. Number one, that God will still get glory out of our, number one, our mistakes, and number two, our while we're gone, what that looks like, who's around us, what we do. So we're gonna begin a series on YouTube called Kairos.
Okay.
And basically what Kairos is a moment in your life that presents the opportunity for change. And it's basically what life consists of. Life consists of Kairos moments. Every day you wake up, you experience something that would cause you or gives you the opportunity to change. What we do is we look for God to do the big bang, like, oh, God, drop a house out of the sky.
Right.
But what God does is God puts us through situations that cause us to be better stewards to our money and better stewards to our apartment and things like that, so that when we get the house, we appreciate it all the more. Because if he just dropped the house out of the sky, we would go into bankruptcy, we'd go into debt trying to keep it up, and we wouldn't know how to contain it. So
Right.
God works in very small steps to get to the big step. And those steps are called Kairos. And that's basically what we're going to start off with. I don't know if you want to pull up the video now.
Cool.
Make that happen, son.
Let's see if it comes through choppy. Hopefully it's not too bad. I want to say. See what happens. And it's thinking. These kids with all the latest. I swear this is the first time that I wrote something in months. Feels like years. Smells felt like tears. I ain't been studying my peers, studying these kids with all the latest trends. I've been studying my fears, finding out why I'm here. Gotta. Yeah.
We'll mess it up. No.
Well,
it's a funky little movement, full of pride that soothes it, full of I is useless, full of my conclusions, full of my illusions, full of my excuses. It's funny how people can paint a picture with no brush, two colors and broken pencils. Sorry if I'm anal, but now I realize what you call entertainment, I call my inner sanctum. It's gibberish to you that there's my second language. What's linking to you, to me, is
oh, come on.
Benjamin Franklin. Day to day for some, to one is an adventure. And things y'all never forgot, I don't remember. And what you perceive as...
May have to just tweet that link out, because
yeah, we'll go ahead and tweet that link out. We'll tweet that out. So yeah, that'll be starting this summer, where you'll start to see different episodes, and along with those episodes will definitely be new music from a project I'm working on with the same title. It'll be called Kairos. It's still freezing up and stuff.
Yeah, I was trying to stop it. It decided not to stop.
It's all good. But yeah, I'm basically working on a project. I kind of want to tell. You know what? I'll just do this, just because the people who tuned in and listened to us talk. Bless you. I'm going to tell you guys who's on the project as of right now. So be quiet. All right, as of right now, Cambino's on the project. Sean C. Johnson's going to be on the project. Wit is on the project. Allergy season. Who else is on the project? I said Wit. My boy My favorite rapper right now is this kid from Columbus named Indefinite. You can follow him on Twitter at Indefinite513. He's on the project. Smurf Village is on the project. Pizzy is on the project. Doc, of course, Doc is on the project. He and I have a record. No, he and I have 3 records as of right now, possibly 4. And Jay Carter's on the record. Jay Carter is on the single.
Okay.
The single is retarded.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's that one. I don't know. Do y'all want to hear it real quick?
Let it roll, young man.
Do you have time to play it? Basically, okay. For you guys who wanted Havlin Savage Theory, The Residue, this record is for you guys. It really is. It's called Love Is. It is a sequel, a continuation of Love Is from the first Havlin Savage Theory. And it's got my man Jay Carter on it. You will be hearing the name Jay Carter very soon. I just spoke to him last week, and he's got the attention of some very prominent rappers for Jesus. So you'll definitely be hearing him very soon. This is unmixed, but you won't be able to tell because it's on computer speakers. Ho, ho, ho. So I'm gonna let this fly real quick. Give me 1 second. And then what?
See if it'll let you do it.
Yeah, it's just being slow. I have the worst computer ever in the history of the world. Come on. And then we can take a few questions. Oh, oh.
Somebody tell me what love.
Is that too loud?
Yeah, so turn it down a little bit, yeah.
All right.
Somebody
Is that
tell me
better?
what love is.
Yeah, it's good.
Page in my brain seems to linger on it. Can't put my finger on it. But wherever you're near, it feels familiar. Yet never been similar.
Should I scream on this like Clue?
Exclusive. More love is an appetite. And she's the apple of my eye. That's why. Part of it is my feeling. Part of it is I know. One of it seems to wrestle it and starts and press and low. The God is probably healing with the jacket. It seems to me it's text. It comes to me as action. Ask. Somebody tell me what love is. I was told it was the Holy Spirit. And since man is putting his hand, cheating it on our own is an inconceivable flow. So, somebody tell me what love is. Is it a kiss on the cheek, or a pinch, or a touch, or a grab, or a pulse? What the heck is love? Somebody tell me what love is. 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 Should I even bake? Is it something I gotta be? Something I should embody? A feeling in my body? Is somebody body in your audience for an acknowledgement? Is it a thirsty text? Can it be solicited? No touch of it intimate. Do we see it in Genesis? Do we see it in cinema? Does it sit in these sentences? Or should I sit and quit? Somebody tell me what love is. Am I asking the wrong crowd? Is it a lost sound? Or a strong vow you commit to, but once they stumble, you walk out? Is it assimilation? Is it visitation? Is it disintegrating? Is it anticipation? Is it a litigation? Is it a finished statement? Is it a realization? Does it still amazing? Does it listen? Take hold of what I said? Does it forgive or hang over my head? Whatever it exists, I hold on to believe. But I know love's gotta be more than what I see. Hey. Somebody tell me what love is. 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 Love is kind, because it is a full of fight. I never failed, but just the past. It comes closer, get to the ground. I never knew how to love till I found you. You are love. You are love. I thought I knew how to love till I found you. You are love. God, you love.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
I can't wait, bro. Can't wait to hear the fully mixed down version and everything. Man.
Mixed CD quality, mixed and mastered. Yeah, we waiting on that right now. So
Yeah,
no doubt. So let's. Are there any other? Is there like any questions from Twitter, from anywhere?
we got a couple last ones that I see here that we can try to get you to answer right quick. Hold on one second. I see this one. A long Twitter question. Got to tweet longer. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Okay. I thought that was. Never mind. Okay. So, Jim asks, is residue permanently shelled?
Yo, talk to God about that, son. You know what, though? Residue is retarded. Residue is retarded. I just listened to it for the first time like 2 weeks ago. Residue was retarded. I'm gonna have to I don't know. I don't know. I might put it out, next Valentine's Day or something, right at the time for cuff season or something. I'm not sure. That's a good question.
Yeah.
But I know enough people are asking about it to where they want to hear it. So, but I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about it. I've been so focused on Kairos, I haven't thought about any of the past projects. But that Love is from Residue. So there you go.
True. That's the only one I see. I know Doc mentioned he wants you to play the beat to 576 and rap live.
Yo, Doc is stupid. That beat is stupid. The first record that I do that you guys will hear from me, which will be like in the next few weeks or so, will be a Doc track. I'm pretty sure we're gonna go with a record called "Change My Mind." That's retarded. That Doc produced. In addition to clock radio speakers and nerding out over music, Doc is an incredible producer and a really dope engineer. So yeah, that'll be coming out fairly soon too.
Okay. Cool. Well, as we wrap things up, man, I guess my last question, or I guess opening the floor up, the last thing you want to say to kind of wrap all this up for those who are listening who are either artists or who may know artists, from the experience, what God has shown you, what can you say to those who may be in a similar situation? Maybe they're in denial. Maybe they aren't sure if they're dealing with, something that somebody's dealt with before, just whatever it may be. What would you say to them?
I would say, trust the process. Trust the process. If you were called to do something for God, trust the process. Number one. Don't feel like you have to get hot because God promotes. So if you think about it, there's one song that somebody put out like years ago, and they're still getting attention or whatever, the same amount of attention or more attention from that one song than somebody who puts out 1,500 mixtapes will do. Number one. Or number two. If God is telling you to fall back, God's telling you to do something else besides rap or something like that, trust it. Trust it. Don't assess yourself. Are you really ready to handle what comes with being a prominent figure in public. So think about how people treat LeBron James, Floyd Mayweather, Kim Kardashian. Are you ready for that level of scrutiny and criticism? Chances are you're probably not. But that's something that you're going to have to face. It's not all about everybody saying that you're the greatest and everybody telling you how dope you are. Like, it's a big world out there. Don't consider yourself special because you do something really well, because there's a million people who do what you do just as good, if not better. So the only thing, the X factor that separates you from them is going to be the Lord. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Just trust him, trust the process. Have a team around you who believes in you, who supports you. If you're in a relationship or you're looking for a significant other, make sure that that significant other supports what it is that God has called you to do. And vice versa too. Look to serve first before being served. Look to humble yourself and put your head down first and you know, tend to the field before you are able to go in the house and get the lemonade. You know what I'm saying? Be the field slave before the house slave. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, man, because it's a lot. That's what I'm learning, man. It's a whole lot. It's dope. It's great, but it comes with a price, man. You got to make sure that you understand that. You know, thank God that somebody, our God, paid the price for that, but there's still some things that you have to go through that come with that, 100%. So, you know, just assess yourself, assess your faith, assess your team, assess your outlook on life, your perspective, your perception, and you know, everything else will fall into place.
Yes, sir. Well, like I said, that was my biggest thing, was just kind of getting your point of view, sharing it with people, whoever sees it live, as well as whoever may come back and see the recorded taping, just to kind of understand that, you know, sometimes God will speak to you when you're at your highest in public's eyes, or at the lowest in public's eyes. So obviously you were kind of on the incline. You know, people were kind of saying, "Oh, who's Armond?" Blah blah blah, and then, you know, you were obedient. So that's my whole thing, just getting people to see that, see what it looked like to really just hear God, no matter where you were at. So I appreciate you taking the time, man.
Man, I appreciate the opportunity, man. Shout out to Kellus, man. Oh, Kellus is also really dope A&R. So artists, if you need some direction with your music, hit Kellus up, man. Kellus has a great ear for music, and you know, God really has him doing some other things outside of music that,
Hello.
you know.
Yeah, this is Kellus II, so sometimes he wants to, you know, jump in the spotlight when he hears his name.
Kellus love the kids.
My name is Kellus.
Cool. All right, man. Well, let me see. I see somebody jumped in with one last question.
One last question.
So I don't know. I mean, I know we were flowing a certain way, but they're asking what other producers you're working with on upcoming projects as well.
Sandman. I linked back up with Sandman. Sandman did what was the name of that record from Dreaming Out Loud? What was the name of that song? Kellus, what's the name of that song about my kids, man?
Go back. Let me run to the track.
With Heaven on Earth.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I linked back up with him. He's doing a record that I've got on Kairos called Genesis Revelation that is incredible. Other than that, I'm pretty much wide open to beats, man. Like if you got some tracks, let me know. You know, just nothing generic, please. No generic trap beats. If you're different, you know, if you send me your most weird out there beat, I'm wide open to pretty much anything right now. So, you know, shoot them my way. Hit me up on Twitter at Armond Wake Up, cool. And you know, we can work. I'm down and free to open to work with pretty much anybody.
But don't just hit him up and talk about music, man. Find out about his life, man.
Nah, man, nah, because now you say that, now you make it seem like you must you must say something to me first before. No.
Right.
I mean, you know, whatever.
All right. I feel you. But yeah, like I said, man, appreciate you taking the time. Hopefully people either will really hear from the Lord. I mean, because we're in a situation where everything is so easily accessible. Everybody can record this, record that, jump on stage. You know, it's easy to eat up attention, man, but we just got to know when to push back from the plate or realize that we're probably not supposed to be eating that. So appreciate you walking us through that, man.
No doubt, no doubt. Everybody be easy. Follow me on Twitter. Follow Kellus on Twitter. Kellus Heavenbound. And
HBNBND, and then make sure you add the wake up to Armond, man, because he's trying to get people to wake up. Yeah. That's the best I could do, man. I'm sorry, man. That's not going to be my closing tagline on any future episodes.
No doubt.
So, yeah, but yeah, that's what's up. Just ArmondWakeUp.com. I think it's still Armond.
We're working on a relaunch for all that stuff, man. Just thewaycolumbus.com, clockradiospeakers.com, invisiblegorilla.net. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. If you request me on Facebook, there's a good chance I'm probably not going to respond to it because I'm never on Facebook. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Appreciate everybody's time. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and you'll be hearing a lot more from me and my camp very, very soon.
All right, man. Take care, bro.
All right, man.
Peace.
Peace.